What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So today we're doing a level 10,000 primary video again. Very similar to the one yesterday, honestly. So if you thought the Sporothrix video from yesterday was way too much work to get it to work for against level 10,000s, don't worry. We've got a much easier to use weapon today, the Kuva Chakkhurr. Now this thing is a Kuva weapon, so you might consider that annoying to get, but basically one shot and they're dead at level 10,000. So all the enemy levels up to that, it's going to also one-shot them, because level 10,000 is as high as they go. So before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel and all that kind of stuff to keep up to date on when the videos come out. I really do appreciate the support, guys, lately. It's honestly been amazing. So, as you just saw in that gameplay right there, this can one-shot level 10,000 enemies with a slash proc. Now, we've made videos on the Kuva Chakkhurr in the past. It was in the Hemorrhage, best weapons video, and that's actually the crux of the build today. Using the Hemorrhage mod, which is basically Hunter munitions for impact procs, you might have seen it before, this is one of the best weapons in the game with that mod. Now, how this thing's going to work is a Kuva Lich weapon. So you need to actually hunt down the Kuva Lich to get this thing to drop. The roll we'll be showing you in this video today is going to be a 60% Toxin roll. So basically as high as the damage can possibly be. So keep that in mind. You don't need to have a max roll for this thing, as it will still do guaranteed impact procs and get crazy slash procs without it. But this technically is the highest damage roll you can get here. So for base stats, we got 50% crit chance, really, really high. Some of the highest base crit chance in the entire game. 2.3 multiplier, pretty high, not the highest. Now here's where some of the problem stats come into play. Low fire rate of 1.17, but if you look at it like this, you're one-shotting every enemy, so who even cares? Really terrible reload speed at 3.3 seconds. Thankfully, we now have Arcane Primary Merciless, decreasing our reload speed. You've got 27% status chance, honestly pretty workable, and the impact of the shot has impact damage, and the explosion has puncture, slash, and blast. So direct hits with this will be guaranteed slash procs, well, not guaranteed, but 70% guaranteed slash procs with a build like this. This is the poster child right here. It's actually called Internal Bleeding. This is for primaries, and this is the lower level, just kind of chilling build. This mod slot right here, Prime Firestorm, that is your flex slot, where you can put lots of different things in there. If you feel like you need increased sprint speed, maybe you're doing a disruption and don't want to be constantly void dashing, this will increase your sprint speed. Also, technically will increase the damage of your slash procs. With no Riven, you can get million damage slash procs of this thing, so that's really nice. For lower levels, though, this increases the blast radius on the secondary shot to 4.81, and it only has 30% damage fall off, so it's actually really, really good to put Prime Firestorm for clearing out hordes of enemies. Like I said, this is a flex slot right here, so you can even put Galvanized Aptitude on here if you want some more damage and also some more stash chance. Galvanized Scope, now since we're relying on slash procs so much, you might not want to run this because, it doesn't proc off of slash procs, but this thing also does so much base damage that you might actually just get kills with the base damage as well. So wouldn't blame it for using Galvanized Scope either. And like I said, reload problem as well. Prime Fast Hand's going to cut off another 0.7 seconds on there. It's going to be up to you. Like I said, there's lots of options here, even hammer shot, things like that. Now here's something this has been clarified now. Do not run Hunter munitions and Internal Bleeding on the same build. It will be either one or the other procking. They do not double proc on top of each other. So even though this thing has crazy high crit chance, don't run Internal Bleeding and Hunter munitions together. If you are not running Prime Bane the Grenier, keep in mind your guaranteed slash procs, or nearly guaranteed slash procs, are going to be a lot weaker. So don't run this if you're trying to do endurance runs, okay? Or if you're trying to run endurance runs, make sure you're running this, okay? Bladed rounds, this is also another flex slot. You can technically take this off for other stuff too. Maybe some more multi-shot. It's up to you guys, honestly. But yeah, overall, I'd say this is going to be something similar to the Sporothrix from yesterday, where it's well, I'm trying to kill a couple enemies at a time. Not horde clearing, not Kuvazar stuff. So you fire the gun off in a small AoE, they're going to die. But maybe the reload speed kills it for you. Maybe the fact that it's not AoE, it's like you're going to main it, but at the same time you're not maining it as much as a Kuvazar or a Brahma. You're still going to, like I said, if you're going to be doing an endurance run, you're probably going to want to run primary dexterity as well, because you'll be relying on your melee for some kills. Maybe deadhead, like I said, if you just want to go all in for those headshots. But good luck killing these level 10,000 enemies with base damage. Let's show it in the simulacrum here a little bit, just so you can get a feel for how strong this weapon will be. Remember, without a Riven at all. No Riven. I can show a Riven here, but this is not a Riven setup here. So this build right here, the lower damage build, Prime Firestorm, basically sacrificing a mod slot. And we're on Mesa with no outside buffs, no nothing. We're not getting buffed at all here. So It's not like the previous videos where all someone has debuff with Sevagoth and all that. This is just raw dog damage right here. And we have Merciless, so you want to make sure you get kills with the primary itself to get your Merciless stacks up. As you can see right there, with Firestorm, it covers a pretty large area with just these shots. So this thing actually does more damage on headshots, so you might want to try that as well. Alright, we've gotten our kills. Should be pretty easy to get a 351,000 damage slash proc right there. Keep in mind we are sacrificing a mod slot for, convenience of AoE explosions. So really good stuff there. That is the internal bleeding mod in effect. Basically more consistent than Hunter Munitions, because this thing has guaranteed impact procs. So now that we've stacked it up basically all the way, 1.4 million, no Riven, like I said, no debuffing. They might have had some viral procs in them from the explosion of the previous guys that died. But yeah, there's no Panzerwolfaphyla here, so just think about how strong it will be with all the stuff stacked up. So that's going to be really good. Like I said, we could even go further into damage if you're not trying to use it as an AoE clearing weapon. Let's try it with a Riven. So, a Riven with crit chance can push you over 200% crit chance at base. Remember, if you were a crazy person that wanted to use Galvanized Scope as well, guaranteed red crit launcher right here. So we go from 150% crit chance with just critical delay to 225. Things are going to get a little bit nutty, to be honest. Now, if you were to take off Point Strike, it's going to cut your crit chance down by like 25-ish%. So it's going to be up to you if you want to do that or not. You technically also could run, instead of Rhyme rounds for more viral procs, you could run Prime Cryo rounds for a bigger chunk of viral damage. As you can see right here, we get like another 700, 800 damage. That's not going to really matter for your slash procs. It's just going to matter for your upfront base damage. So you're going to get a bigger viral chunk there. It's honestly be up to personal player preference. Lots of customization options on here are available. Now, of course, we weren't even ADSing, I think, for some of those kills, so we could have gotten even more damage. So let's do the same thing with the Riven. Now, I would say I do recommend getting Rivens for guns that you want to main, or guns that you find very enjoyable. So, for example, this gun I find very enjoyable. I've had this Riven for a while. Now, let's get a headshot kill on her. 1.2 million. 1.5 million. And you're usually going to see around 1 million with a Riven like this. But you can definitely see higher as well. So, like I said, it's pretty strong. It's not like the Sporothrix has really consistent slash procs. This thing is similar. But this thing's also got the benefit of being crit as well. It's fun to see those red crit numbers. Let's use some buffs here. We'll use a Mirage Eclipse. And that was a 492. Like I said, if you're using Merciless, you gotta keep lots of buffs going. So, is a million damage slash proc not impressive to you? Maybe it's not. Maybe you think like, well, unless it's like a 50 million damage slash proc, I don't even care. So, this thing can technically do that, but you're going to be doing some outside buffs, because we tried to go for a basically no buff build here. And if you want to use a weapon for killing high-level Demolists, this is going to be a really good bet for you. Now, if you were to run this against high-level Demolists, I'd say you're probably going to want to put a reload speed mod in here, because if you don't kill them in one magazine, the 3.3 second reload on this thing is really, really rough, and it might, you're probably going to want to run also, like, watch the previous Sporothrix video, you're going to want to run a cold procking weapon, and things like that as well. So overall for weapon grades, we're going to go with a C on mob clearing. Like I said, with Prime Firestorm, you do get a little bit increased damage here, or increased range on damage, but it's still like, you might want to use things like grouping tools like Ensnare from Korra, or, Magus Anomaly or things like that. Because it's not really a horde clearing weapon, it's more of a priority target clearing weapon. As you can see, the Guardian was getting destroyed there. There was a red crits to the face. The Heavy Gunner got one doink like it was nothing. So yeah, that's why the Acolyte speed grade is an A. If you get those headshots and you got your stuff stacked up, man, that enemy is so dead. Like, they are dead 3 times over. As far as max stats potential, we've got impact guaranteed, or nearly, yeah, it is guaranteed on the primary shot. And the secondary shot is going to have puncture, slash, and blast. And the reason this enemy's taking 100 damage right here is because there's an ancient right nearby. I didn't even notice it. So, that's a good amount of stuff. Blast, puncture, slash, and the guaranteed impact, since we're utilizing internal, you're probably going to utilize internal bleeding on this thing just period, because slash procs are so powerful. That's going to be really, really good for what we're trying to do with this weapon. The max stats potential, like, sure, you could technically get more on other weapons, but for what we're doing here, it's one of the best in slots. Like, as far as other internal bleeding primaries, it's like the Quellor, this thing. I think the Daikyu also has some force impact procs as well. So this weapon is going to be better than with Hunter Munitions. Like, if you don't have Hunter Munitions, honestly, you don't need it for this weapon. Like, you technically could use it, but Hunter Munitions is weaker on this weapon than internal bleeding if you do it right. So, as far as getting an impact roll, you don't need to do it. I've never found the need to get an impact roll in this thing, but it's up to you, honestly. So as you can see, this guy's dying to the slash procs. It's going to take a little bit longer. These are like the highest level demos in the entire game, guys, so, you know, it's not always going to work exactly the way you want it to, but it is technically one of the strongest weapons to kill these guys. Then when the team comes in, it's like everyone's team shotting it, and your DPS is majorly increased because you have more people shooting at it. As far as the overall grade, I'd say B. It's an above-average weapon with some really, really high crit potential. Honestly, really deadly. Some people like to use this thing for Eidolon hunting. If you want to do Eidolon hunting with this, probably go for like an electric roll, a heat roll, or a radiation roll, because the Eidolon is weak to radiation damage, and that's what you want to go for on that dude. Yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I know it's a little bit less in-depth than the Sporadrix video from yesterday, but the Sporadrix video was like setting up future endurance loadouts. So, you know, saying dexterity on the primary and the secondary, you know, you want to proc them up, all that stuff. Galvanized aptitude, honestly not necessary on this thing, but if you're going to be going for max damage, you do want to technically proc them up with other sources and then hit them with the super shot. So, take it easy, guys. I'll see you next time, and peace.